The birth of Islam brought forth a revolutionary spiritual and social transformation, uniting the Arab tribes under the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He spread the message of Tawhid, the oneness of Allah, and the finality of prophethood, laying the foundation for a new, unified community, the ummah. His teachings, revealed in the Quran, guided the followers in all aspects of life, from spirituality to social justice. For over 2 decades, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, led the Muslim community not just as a spiritual guide, but also as a political leader. The success of Islam, under his leadership, was evident in the rapid expansion of the Islamic State, which included the Arabian Peninsula and the unification of various tribes under the banner of Islam. The Prophet's, peace be upon him, death, however, set the stage for a profound shift in the leadership of the ummah, one that would ultimately give rise to the Sunni and Shia divisions. As Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, approached his final days, the question of succession became more pressing. There was no clear, direct instruction from the Prophet, peace be upon him, about who should succeed him, leaving the issue open to interpretation. The absence of such a declaration led to 2 prominent factions within the Muslim community, each with its own perspective on leadership. The supporters of Imam Ali believed that he was the rightful successor to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, based on his close relationship with the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his unwavering commitment to Islam. Imam Ali was not only the cousin of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but also his son-in-law, having married Lady Fatima, the Prophet's, peace be upon him, daughter. Ali's role as the first male to accept Islam and his significant contributions to its spread further solidified the belief among his supporters that he should be the rightful leader of the ummah. The opposing faction, however, which included many prominent companions of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, believed that leadership should be based on consensus among the Quraysh tribe, to which Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, belonged. They argued that the Quraysh were the natural leaders of the Arab people, due to their status and lineage. The disagreement over succession came to a head after the death of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in 632 CE. The absence of a clear directive from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, meant that the Muslim community was faced with a significant decision: who would assume the mantle of leadership? The crisis began shortly after the death of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Saqafa of Banu Sa'ida in Medina became the first site of political contention. While Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was being prepared for burial, a group of Ansar, the native inhabitants of Medina, gathered at Saqafa to discuss who would take on the leadership of the ummah. They believed that the leadership should remain within the Ansar, as they had supported Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he migrated to Medina. However, a group of Muhajirin, the early immigrants from Mecca, arrived at the gathering, led by Abu Bakr, Umar ibn al-Khattab, and Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah. The Muhajirin argued that the leadership should remain within the Quraysh, the tribe of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as they had historically been the leaders of the Arabs. The debate at Saqafa was intense and fast-paced. Eventually, Abu Bakr was chosen as the first caliph of the Muslim community, despite Imam Ali's absence from the gathering. His supporters argued that Abu Bakr was the most senior companion of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and thus the most suitable candidate for leadership. Imam Ali, who had been deeply involved in the preparation of Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, burial, did not initially participate in the Saqafa discussions. The selection of Abu Bakr was not without controversy. Imam Ali's supporters believed that he was the rightful leader based on his familial and spiritual ties to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. They felt that the decision made at Saqafa was politically motivated, and that Imam Ali, being the closest male relative of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, should have been the first caliph. The division within the community became more pronounced following the Saqafa incident. While many accepted Abu Bakr's caliphate, others, particularly those aligned with Imam Ali, rejected it. This growing division between the two groups set the stage for future political and theological conflicts. In the aftermath of the Saqifa incident, Imam Ali remained loyal to the Muslim community and served under the leadership of Abu Bakr, despite his personal belief that he was the rightful leader. This loyalty was emblematic of his deep commitment to Islam and the unity of the ummah, even though he was not in a position of power. The division over succession was not merely a political disagreement. It also carried significant theological implications. For those who supported Imam Ali, his leadership was not just a matter of political authority, but also a reflection of the divine guidance and closeness to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. They believed that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had explicitly designated Imam Ali as his successor during the event of God or Come, where Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is said to have declared, "Whomever I am is master, Ali is his master." This statement is interpreted by Shia Muslims as a clear indication of Imam Ali's divinely ordained leadership. For those who supported the caliphates of Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman, the issue of succession was more about practical leadership and maintaining unity in the face of external threats and internal challenges. They saw the caliphate as a position that required strong political and military leadership rather than divine appointment. As the years went by, the divide between these two factions would continue to grow, leading to political struggles, military conflicts, and, ultimately, the establishment of two distinct branches of Islam, Shia and Sunni. Following the death of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the Islamic community was faced with the monumental task of selecting a leader who would continue his mission and guide the rapidly expanding ummah. The choice of Abu Bakr as the first caliph was met with acceptance by many, but not all. The division between those who supported the caliphate of Abu Bakr and those who believed Imam Ali was the rightful leader set the stage for a long-lasting schism within the Muslim community. Abu Bakr's caliphate was primarily focused on consolidating the Islamic State and preserving the unity of the ummah. His leadership was characterized by internal challenges, such as the Ridda Wars, where various Arabian tribes rebelled against the central authority of the caliphate. Abu Bakr's success in these wars established the early caliphate's political legitimacy and ensured the survival of the nascent Islamic State. However, his caliphate, though politically successful, was also marked by tension with those who believed Imam Ali was the true successor of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. When Abu Bakr passed away in 634 CE, he appointed Umar ibn al-Khattab as his successor. Umar's caliphate was marked by significant military and territorial expansion. Under his leadership, the Islamic Empire expanded far beyond the Arabian Peninsula, conquering vast regions including Syria, Egypt, and Persia. These victories greatly enhanced the power and prestige of the caliphate. However, Umar's leadership also contributed to further divisions between the supporters of Imam Ali and the rest of the Muslim community. Umar's approach to leadership was pragmatic and politically oriented, and he took steps to centralize power, particularly within the hands of the Quraysh elite. This approach further alienated those who believed that leadership should remain within the family of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and especially despite not holding the position of caliph. Imam Ali played a pivotal role during the caliphates of Abu Bakr and Umar. Imam Ali was often consulted on matters of state, and his wisdom and knowledge were highly regarded by many of the early companions of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He also served as a military leader, notably leading the Muslim forces in several important battles, including the Battle of Badr, Uhud, and Khandak. However, Imam Ali's role was often marginalized in the political sphere. His supporters, including his close family members and companions, believed that Imam Ali's exclusion from political leadership was a clear injustice. They argued that his closeness to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, both as his cousin and son-in-law, made him the most suitable leader of the ummah. Following the death of Umar, Uthman ibn Affan, a member of the Umayyad clan, became the third caliph of the Islamic State in 644 CE. Uthman's rule was initially marked by relative peace and stability. but it eventually became a source of discontent within the Muslim community. Uthman's decision to appoint members of the Umayyad clan to key positions of power led to accusations of nepotism and corruption. His concentration of power within his own family created widespread dissatisfaction, particularly among the early companions of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who had been loyal to Imam Ali. These tensions led to the emergence of opposition movements within the ummah, and the situation reached a boiling point in 656 CE when Uthman was assassinated. The assassination of Uthman further deepened the rift between the supporters of Imam Ali and those loyal to the Umayyads. Uthman's death sparked a civil war known as the First Fitna, which was the first major conflict within the Muslim community and a direct result of the political and theological divisions that had been growing since the death of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. In the wake of Uthman's death, Imam Ali was chosen as the fourth caliph. However, his caliphate was immediately challenged by prominent figures within the community, including Aisha, the widow of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the companions Talha and Zubair. They opposed Imam Ali's leadership, believing that the caliphate should have been handled differently following Uthman's assassination. The situation escalated into the Battle of the Camel in 656 CE, which was fought between the forces of Imam Ali and those of Aisha, Talha, and Zubair. The battle, though it ended in a victory for Imam Ali, was a significant turning point in Islamic history. It marked the first time that prominent companions of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, fought against each other, setting a precedent for the internal conflicts that would continue to plague the Muslim community. As tensions continued to rise, another conflict erupted between Imam Ali and Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, the governor of Syria and a relative of Uthman. Muawiyah refused to pledge allegiance to Imam Ali, and the two sides met at Siffin in 657 CE for a battle that would later become one of the defining moments of the First Fitna. The battle at Siffin ended in a stalemate, and both sides agreed to arbitration. However, the arbitration process failed to resolve the conflict, and it led to the rise of a radical group known as the Kharijites, who opposed both Imam Ali and Muawiyah. The Kharijites' extreme stance would ultimately lead to the assassination of Imam Ali in 661 CE, ending his caliphate and further deepening the divisions within the Muslim community. After the death of Imam Ali, Muawiyah emerged as the undisputed leader of the Muslim world, and he established the Umayyad dynasty. This marked the beginning of a new phase in Islamic history, with political power consolidating under the Umayyads and the Sunni-Shia divide becoming more entrenched. After the assassination of Imam Ali, the caliphate passed into the hands of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, who established the Umayyad dynasty. His leadership marked the beginning of a new era in Islamic politics, one that was heavily shaped by political power and dynastic succession. The Umayyad Caliphate would dominate the Islamic world for nearly a century, fundamentally altering the course of Islamic history. Muawiyah, a member of the Quraysh tribe and a cousin of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had previously served as the governor of Syria during the Caliphate of Uthman. Following Uthman's assassination, Muawiyah refused to pledge allegiance to Imam Ali, and his forces were instrumental in the conflict at Siffin. After the arbitration failed to resolve the dispute, Muawiyah declared himself the legitimate caliph, and the Umayyad dynasty was born. Under Muawiyah's rule, the Umayyads took a more centralized and dynastic approach to governance, consolidating power and making the caliphate a hereditary institution. This shift from the earlier model of leadership, based on consultation and consensus, became one of the key points of contention between the Shia and Sunni factions. The establishment of the Umayyad dynasty was seen as a betrayal by many of the supporters of Imam Ali, who believed that leadership should remain within the family of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This belief was further reinforced by the tragic events of Karbala, where Imam Hussain, the son of Imam Ali and grandson of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would soon take a stand against the Umayyad regime. While the Umayyads focused on consolidating their power, the Shia continued to uphold the belief that Imam Ali and his descendants were divinely chosen to lead the Muslim ummah. This division would not only shape the political landscape of the Islamic world, but would also give rise to different theological and legal schools of thought within Islam. In 680 CE, the political and theological conflict reached its peak in the Battle of Karbala, one of the most pivotal events in Islamic history. Imam Hussain, the grandson of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, refused to pledge allegiance to Yazid ibn Muawiyah, the son of Muawiyah and the second caliph of the Umayyad dynasty. Imam Hussain viewed Yazid's rule as unjust and illegitimate, believing that the caliphate should not be passed on through dynastic succession, but should remain with the family of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Imam Hussein's refusal to accept Yazid's rule was not just a political stance, but also a profound act of resistance against tyranny and oppression. Imam Hussain, along with a small group of supporters and family members, set out for Kufa, where they had received promises of support from the people. However, upon reaching Karbala, they were confronted by a massive army sent by Yazid, who demanded that Imam Hussain pledge allegiance to him. Despite the overwhelming odds, Imam Hussain and his companions refused to bow to injustice. On the 10th of Muharram, the tragic Battle of Karbala took place. Imam Hussain, along with his family and companions, was martyred in a brutal act of violence. His death became a symbol of resistance against tyranny and oppression, and the martyrdom of Imam Hussain remains a defining moment for Shia Muslims. The martyrdom of Imam Hussain, peace be upon him, had profound political and religious implications. It solidified the divide between the Shia and Sunni communities and became a defining event that would shape the identity of the Shia Muslims for centuries to come. For the Shia, Karbala represents the ultimate sacrifice for justice, truth, and the preservation of the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The tragedy of Karbala serves as a reminder of the struggle against oppression, and its lessons continue to resonate with millions of Muslims around the world. For the Sunnis, the Umayyad dynasty and the Caliphate of Yazid represented the continuation of political power in the Muslim world. However, the events of Karbala and the martyrdom of Imam Hussain exposed the deep moral and ethical dilemmas within the Umayyad regime, which many saw as being in stark contrast to the values of justice and righteousness that Islam promoted. In the aftermath of Karbala, the Umayyads continued to hold power, but their legitimacy was increasingly challenged by those who sought a more just and righteous rule. The Abbasid Revolution, which began in the 8th century, was partially fueled by the resentment towards the Umayyads and their perceived corruption. The Abbasids, who claimed descent from Abbas, the uncle of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, eventually overthrew the Umayyad dynasty and established their own caliphate in 750 CE. While the Abbasids initially gained support from the Shia community due to their opposition to the Umayyads, their rule ultimately became more centralized and politically focused, and they did not fully embrace the Shia ideals of leadership through the family of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Abbasids continued to hold the title of caliph, but their rule was often contested by those who believed that true leadership lay with the descendants of Imam Ali and Imam Hussain. The martyrdom of Imam Hussain did not mark the end of the struggle for justice and rightful leadership within the Shia community. Over the centuries, the Shia have continued to uphold the belief in the Imamate, the divinely appointed leadership of the family of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, which includes the 12 Imams. The first of these Imams, Imam Ali, was followed by his descendants, each of whom was believed to possess unique spiritual and political authority. The concept of the Imamate became the cornerstone of Shia theology, distinguishing them from the Sunni community, which did not accept the idea of divinely appointed leadership. This theological divide led to the formation of distinct Shia communities, particularly in regions such as Iran, Iraq, and Lebanon, where the legacy of Imam Ali and Imam Hussain remained deeply influential. The rise of the Umayyad dynasty and the subsequent events that led to the martyrdom of Imam Hussain were instrumental in shaping the Sunni-Shia divide. The theological, political, and cultural differences between the two groups would continue to manifest throughout Islamic history, culminating in centuries of tension and conflict. The Shia community, in particular, has preserved the memory of Karbala and the ideals of justice, sacrifice, and resistance against tyranny that Imam Hussain, peace be upon him, embodied. The Sunni-Shia divide remains a prominent feature of the Islamic world, though both groups share a common faith in Allah and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Despite their differences, both communities continue to shape the spiritual and political landscape of the Muslim world. The division between the Shia and Sunni communities has had profound theological, political, and social implications throughout Islamic history. While both groups share a common belief in Allah and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, their differing views on leadership and religious authority have shaped the course of Islamic civilization. The Shia view the Imamate, the leadership of the Muslim community through the descendants of Imam Ali, as a divinely appointed institution. They believe that the 12 Imams, starting with Imam Ali and ending with Imam Mahdi, are the rightful leaders of the Muslim ummah. For Shia Muslims, these Imams are not just political leaders, but also spiritual guides with divine knowledge and authority. This belief in the Imamate continues to be central to Shia identity, especially in countries like Iran, Iraq, and Lebanon, where the legacy of Imam Ali and Imam Hussain, peace be upon him, remains deeply influential. On the other hand, Sunnis reject the concept of the Imamate and believe that leadership should be based on the consensus of the community, regardless of familial ties to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Sunnis adhere to a system of caliphate, where the leader is chosen through consultation or election, and they believe that the first four caliphs, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, were legitimate successors to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, even though the Shia view the caliphate of Imam Ali as the rightful one. This theological divergence has led to different interpretations of Islamic practices, jurisprudence, and religious rituals. For instance, Shia Muslims commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Hussain, peace be upon him, in Karbala every year during Ashura, a day of mourning and reflection on the themes of justice, sacrifice, and resistance against tyranny. While Sunnis also honor Imam Hussein's martyrdom, the scale and manner in which it is observed differ significantly between the two groups. The Sunni-Shia divide has also been a source of political conflict throughout Islamic history. The first major civil war, known as the First Fitna, occurred after the assassination of Uthman, the third caliph, and was primarily fought between the followers of Imam Ali and those of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, who later established the Umayyad dynasty. This conflict set the stage for a series of political struggles that would define the future of the Muslim world. Following the establishment of the Umayyad dynasty, the Sunni-Shia divide became more pronounced, with the Umayyads representing the Sunni position and the supporters of Imam Ali forming the core of the Shia community. The martyrdom of Imam Hussain at Karbala in 680 CE became a symbol of resistance against political oppression and tyranny, further cementing the Shia identity and opposition to the Umayyad regime. The political struggle between the Sunni and Shia factions continued through the rise of the Abbasid dynasty, which initially garnered support from the Shia community due to their opposition to the Umayyads. However, over time, the Abbasids became more entrenched in their power, and their rule became increasingly secular and politically oriented, much like that of the Umayyads. The Shia, particularly the followers of the Imamate, continued to resist Abbasid rule, which led to further tensions and conflicts. The division between Sunni and Shia Islam reached a new phase with the rise of the Safavid Empire in the early 16th century. The Safavids, who ruled over Persia, modern-day Iran, embraced Shia Islam as the official state religion, marking a significant turning point in the history of Shia Islam. Under the leadership of Shah Ismail I, the Safavids sought to promote Shia Islam as a means of consolidating their power and establishing their identity in opposition to the Sunni Ottoman Empire. The Safavid conversion to Shia Islam had profound implications for the political and religious landscape of the Middle East. It led to the establishment of Shia Islam as the dominant faith in Persia and contributed to the development of a distinct Shia culture and tradition. The Safavid era also saw the institutionalization of Shia religious practices, such as the commemoration of Ashura, the construction of Shia shrines, and the establishment of Shia religious seminaries, or hawzas. In the modern era, the Sunni-Shia divide continues to shape the political landscape of the Middle East and beyond. In countries like Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon, sectarian tensions between Sunni and Shia groups have led to violence and instability. The rise of groups like ISIS and the ongoing conflict in Syria have further exacerbated these divisions, with Sunni and Shia militias fighting for control and influence in the region. The Iranian Revolution of 1979, which established an Islamic republic based on Shia principles under the leadership of Ayatollah Khomeini, marked a significant shift in the political dynamics of the region. Iran's support for Shia groups in countries like Iraq, Lebanon, and Yemen has contributed to the spread of Shia political and religious influence, further intensifying the Sunni-Shia divide. At the same time, Sunni-majority countries, such as Saudi Arabia, have sought to counter the influence of Iran and the Shia community through alliances with other Sunni-majority nations and through support for Sunni groups in regions like Syria and Yemen. This geopolitical rivalry has further fueled sectarian conflict and has become a central issue in the broader Middle Eastern power struggle. Despite the deep political and theological divisions between Sunni and Shia Muslims, there have been efforts in recent years to promote dialogue and reconciliation between the two communities. Interfaith initiatives, academic exchanges, and religious dialogues have sought to foster understanding and cooperation between Sunni and Shia Muslims. Some scholars and religious leaders on both sides have called for a return to the core teachings of Islam, emphasizing unity, mutual respect, and the shared values of justice, peace, and tolerance. However, the political and sectarian tensions between Sunni and Shia communities remain a significant challenge to achieving lasting peace and unity within the Muslim world. The legacy of historical conflicts, such as the Battle of Karbala, continues to shape the collective memory of both communities and serves as a source of identity and pride for millions of Muslims worldwide. Ultimately, the future of Sunni-Shia relations will depend on the ability of Muslim communities to transcend sectarian divisions and embrace the shared values of Islam. By focusing on common goals, such as social justice, economic development, and the promotion of peace, it is possible for Sunni and Shia Muslims to overcome their differences and work together toward a more unified and prosperous future. The divide between Sunni and Shia Islam is a complex and multifaceted issue that has shaped the course of Islamic history for over a millennium. From the early days of the Caliphate to the rise of the Umayyad and Abbasid dynasties, the struggle for political and religious leadership has been at the heart of the conflict. The tragic events of Karbala and the martyrdom of Imam Hussain, peace be upon him, continue to resonate within the Shia community, while the Sunni community maintains its belief in the legitimacy of the early caliphs. Despite the historical and theological differences that separate them, Sunni and Shia Muslims share a common belief in Allah and the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The challenge for the future lies in finding ways to bridge the gap between these two communities and build a united, peaceful, and prosperous Islamic world.